Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, this is just a rambling type of video, so for those of you that get upset that I don't get directly to the point or whatever, I mean, it's just a few or one or two people that do this. I try to give you a heads up in advance, that it might be rambly, like if there's some dinosaurs involved, then you might figure there's a little skit before I get to the point. But anyways, the main rambling thought I had about on this one is what separates us from just using knives or just using flashlights to start collecting them or, getting a bunch of them for whatever reason. And what is it? It's like pliers. Most people, don't have a big plier collection, but some do. Some will get into it where you just, you like this, and then you want to get the smaller size and a bigger size, and the whole set. And it might be practicality, because you're actually using these tools, but you might also have an issue with collecting or when does it get from collecting to like an addiction? Well, an addiction, can be defined as you've lost control and, you're buying things before rent, your baby's crying in the crib for milk, because you just got another flashlight and you didn't have enough money left over to get formula. That's the bad form of addiction. So there's an addiction and then there's hobbies, and there's just kind of like a fine line. And I used to be that way on knives. I would just have knives. I'd find one that worked, that was practical, and that suited my needs, and that was it. I didn't go get a bunch of different versions of it. I didn't buy backups of it. I just, like Buck 110, I used that for decades as my belt pocket knife. I used it in the military when I got out. And eventually, at the time, this was in the mid to late 80s, things were improving in the knife world. And I switched to a Gerber Easy Out because it had a pocket clip. It was lighter, and it had a serrated and standard edge on it too. I just recently sharpened that thing up, but that was it. I think a lot of it has to do with what you're watching. If you're watching videos and stuff, I know it influences me on flashlights. Look at that, ooh, purple. And I've got you can see I've got enough flashlights. I got more than this. This isn't all my flashlights here. It's just the color, some of the colorful ones. But part of it is ooh pretty. Like the colors. The same way with knives. Sometimes you've already got a Stockman. You've already got a functional Stockman. Why do you want another one? Well, because this looks nice. And then well, you can get a lot of them that look nice. That I'm not saying there's anything wrong with. Well, what I am saying is if you reach the point to where you're putting things on credit card, that basically means you can't afford it. If you can't pay cash for it, you can't afford it. I know Danny Dino and them are going to get mad at me because, the easy flex pay payments. That's about the only place where it would really work well is 37 painless flex pay payments, and you can get stuff like that. But I don't have any answers to this. I'm just trying to figure out my own mind sometimes, because like what triggers it in me? When do I go from just, okay, this is a good enough flashlight, I don't need any more, but then you've been looking at flashlights, so you see there's other options available, and there's different things going on, and different colors and tints, and you start getting immersed into it. And I think you have to have the available money to spend on your particular hobby. It's kind of like fishing. There's some people that they have one or two poles. They don't have an extensive tackle box or anything. They're just using it as they like fish. They're using it because they like to eat fish or whatever. And then there are other people that they'll go out and buy the most expensive fishing gear, and they'll learn how to make their own, lures and everything, and they'll be into the in-depth of it. They're both fishermen. One of them has gotten into it pretty deeply, and I've done that, same thing with guns. When I first was getting into guns, it was like one or two guns, and then I had enough guns. I had more than that because I liked them. It's just because you like something, you get into it, and that's what happens. It can start, snowballing, if you want to call it that. So, like I said, I don't have any answers. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this out. Like I said, you have to have the income, available to support your hobby, or some way to finance. Like if you like a lot of flashlights and you like doing it, well, then you're just going to have to, start asking these companies to send you flashlights for review, and then that might be able to support your hobby if you've got a YouTube channel or whatever. But I just like flashlights. I'm not trying to sell them to anybody or anything. If I review a flashlight or a knife, I like knives too. I'm not trying to sell you this knife. If you want, if I think it's a great value, whatever, I'll tell you. Wow, I really like this knife, or I really like this flashlight. But that's just me. I'm not really. As of right now, I don't have any affiliate links. I don't have any codes. I'm not sponsored by anybody. It's just my own personal opinion of this. And that's another thing I wanted to get into is the people that you meet through, if you ever have a YouTube channel or something, the connections you meet. That's the most valuable thing. And I'm not talking about as far as gifts or anything. I'm just talking about the connections you make with people. It's just amazing, and I really wanted to say that I appreciate everyone here that that watches this channel, because I would. It's just the same thing with my. If you want to break out into YouTube, and you're wanting to get like a lot of views and recognitions, my suggestion was I started off in Locksport, which was, I didn't want a lot of views or whatever thing. I just wanted to learn about picking locks and stuff, and meeting connections with people that do that and stuff like that. And the whole time, that channel still, it was before this knife channel, it still hasn't reached 1,000 subscribers, So, and that one is because I was really into it, so I got into everything about it, I didn't just buy a lockpick set. I bought a bunch of different lockpicks. I made my own lockpicks. I didn't just buy locks, I took locks apart. I mean, I went deep into the hobby, and sometimes you can burn yourself out on it. And then in the lock picking one, I had pretty much reached a point where, yeah, I could get into more difficult locks to pick and everything, but then it requires more expensive locks, more expensive picks, more time and effort. And what for? As a challenge? I know there are locks out there I can't pick, but for the most part, for the most majority, I had learned what I wanted to do, a skill. That's what I wanted to learn out of that one, was a skill, an ability to do this. And it was a challenge. It was fun. And I still do it occasionally, to relieve boredom, or if you're stressed out or whatever. It's a good kind of like something to do with your hands. Now in the knife world, you can get into whittling, so you're using your knife and you're carving, and you also have the pastime of kind of a Zen-like thing, where if things are bothering you and stressing you out, do something that just requires repetitive motion, like sharpening a knife or raking leaves, or whatever it is, that doesn't require a lot of thought, but it requires your body to work, and that'll help calm you down if you get like stress and anxiety and stuff like that. I mean, again, I'm no doctor. I'm not giving doctor advice or medical advice or financial advice, and I don't know. I know about addiction, but I'm not, an expert. I guess, from personal experience I might be, but there's a lot of different said, you can look at the clinical description of what an addiction is, but in a knife world, it could, I think it could be in the knife or the flashlight world. Same with watches. It's like Nick Shabazz says, don't get it. And that's another thing. How come I like watches? This is kind of archaic. Nowadays that people got cell phones and everything. But I found that having a watch is invaluable because there are a lot of places where you cannot look at you can't even have your cell phone with you. You can't be looking at it. They already have heard that excuse. I was just checking the time. So people will always ask you, what time is it? What time is it? Even if there's a clock up on a wall, they'll ask you what time it is because they know you've got a watch. Why didn't I get into collecting watches? My dad gave me a Seiko watch when he came back from Vietnam. I don't have that, but, I could get into collecting Seikos. And, I didn't switch into that. Why? I'm glad that I didn't because I can't afford. I'm going crazy with flashlights and knives, and I'm on a fixed income. We've got inflation and everything else. And, yeah, that's not a good idea. I don't seek out sponsors on all this stuff. I don't seek out gifts. I appreciate anything that people send, but please don't feel obligated or feel like you have to. The same way with like my membership thing. Please don't feel like you have to do that or you're required to. I appreciate everyone that does that. And I still haven't got the January 9th thing. I don't want to get into it, but there's a lot of things that go on with me. And sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's mental. And I just don't want to, I don't want to get up and make a video when I'm not 100%, so, because I don't want that leaking through, I want people having an enjoyable time when they watch a video. I don't want them to be upset or pissed off. And if you get that way, and you're watching these videos, and every time you feel like, man, I look at them as constructive criticism, just like those comments, where the guy says he thought it was an insurance ad. Well, he doesn't like dinosaurs. He doesn't like comedy. He doesn't like people that I labeled it something about my Victorinox, how my Victorinox Explorer came in handy, and some more about dinosaurs. Well, I put the dinosaurs first, so I should have put the title of, dinosaurs, and then the Explorer, so the guy would know. But apparently he was on the toilet, and he was trying to pass one, and watching that didn't help my video, didn't help him any or anything. These are public comments, this is not something he DM'd me in private. He put it up on my channel. So my thought is, like if that upsets you that much, and I don't even upset you enough to give you a decent bowel movement, I would suggest you stop watching my videos. I'll take the hit of losing one viewer, and the potential commenting, but really, if it bothers you that much, then it's like they used to say at a job when you suck or whatever, and they don't want to tell you that, so they say, we don't believe this job is the right fit for you. It's just a polite way of saying, you know what, you're fired, get the hell out of here, You're too klutzy to work in an egg factory. You keep dropping eggs, and eggs are expensive nowadays, so you're fired. They don't want to do that because people's feelings get hurt or whatever, so they, they'll try to put it politely, but that's what they're trying to say to you. So all I'm saying is, I don't know what happens because used to be I would get one or two things. I've always liked flashlights and I've always liked knives. I like watches. I like tools, but I don't go crazy getting a bunch of, I find something that works and then I stop. I stop with it, It's not that way with knives, and I think it's because these things are like tools, flashlights are a tool and a knife is a tool. It'd be different if I was getting, you can collect anything. You can get into things that are not practical. Stickers. You could get into a sticker collection thing where you have to collect stickers, and you get beyond it. What triggers that in that? Well, it has to be something that you're passionate about, that you like, and then it doesn't take much more beyond that. Maybe it's a personality type. I'm not saying either way is good or bad. Like I said, I used to be the type of person that would get a knife as a user, and I wouldn't get crazy with it. I'd every once in a while get a fantasy knife or something, a dagger or a sword. Or, you can see from pictures of my past and everything that I've liked knives, and flashlights weren't as big, but I had a bunch of different flashlights too, as you saw in a previous video of just a box of different type of flashlights. And this has been, I've moved over my life. I've collected a bunch of stuff. But anyway, all I'm saying is just be aware of the difference between an addiction and a hobby when you're doing this. This is also for myself. I'm trying to remind myself, hey, don't get carried away. Because yeah. But I enjoy getting different flashlights and trying them out. I enjoy getting different colors of light. I don't know. It's crazy. Different brands. This is Woolcoals. What do I call it? Woolcoals. Pretty cool. This one I found out has, like I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos. This again, you're trying a lot of times when you're watching YouTube videos, you're trying to get an idea before you purchase something of what it's like. And this one, throughout every one of the videos in YouTube that I had seen, it has a ramping mode. The second mode is ramping. And to get to it, you do 4 clicks when the light is on. Not anymore. On some of these, they changed. They still have them. They still have the other version available as ramping. But on this one, to get to your special mode, you got to hold this down for like 3 seconds, and then the light flashes at you. And then after that, low mode is disabled, and you don't have ramping. I don't know, there may be some advantage to it, but it's different. It's a different light. It still has the same beam pattern. It still has the same battery, but it's a different light than whatever I've seen on YouTube. All YouTube videos. I have not seen one, only in the comments, that I see where somebody said that. So if your whole allure to this flashlight, and ramping means, like you go from moonlight to high, it's just like dim to high instead of just step mode. See, and this one doesn't turn on with this, it turns on with the tail switch. So, yeah, anyways, I still like flashlights. I get into them. I don't know, like I said, this has been a rambly one or everything, and an appreciation thing. I appreciate people that stick with me through those stuff. Really, if you don't like flashlights, you don't have to watch them. I try to title it. I'm not trying to do clickbait titles or whatever, but I'm trying to be informative, at least with it. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you on this. Just keep that into a hobby and not an addiction. Try to keep that stuff in check. Moderation. Watch different things. If you find yourself it's influencing you too much, watching videos. It's like the latest knife comes out and you hadn't had the money for it and everything, but they just keep raving about it. Everybody raves about it, and you went, you know what? And you start shuffling and everything and selling knives, or however you get your money, but you come up with the money to get that. Does it make you feel good when you got that knife, or do you feel kind of like internally bad? If you feel internally bad, like, why did I do that? Then that means, to me, that you've got a problem with crossing that line. You're pretty close to an addiction as opposed to a hobby, in my opinion. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a doctor. You gotta be a legal paralegal or something nowadays to say something on YouTube. Warning. Here, disclaimer. The following information is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The dinosaurs in this set were not actually harmed. They are not real. Oh, no, oh my God. What do you mean we're not real? What do you mean, senor? See? see what happens. We got all kinds of stuff. Ted would say something, but it's got throat issues, so. But he's sign languaging at me, and it's one finger up. I think he means that I'm the #1 guy. So see, I've got some fans in there that stick with me all the time, even if they're in my head. So, yeah, I know I've rambled long enough. These things take forever to upload. So, if I get too long with it. So I'm going to have to keep the compression down, because the last one I did that was 21 minutes long, it took over 3 hours to upload. And that's just to upload. That wasn't it. It was a flashlight video too. So anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate everyone that's, puts up with my various problems and the quirks and everything. And have a nice day or night.